Hey, hi, it's Debra E. Johnson, and I'm saying welcome if this is your first time, or welcome back if you've been here before. You are here with me at Tell of His Goodness, where I tell of the goodness of God in every situation that I can think of. And we're continuing what we had started before, which is the series of the books of the Bible, where I tell of the goodness of God. And this week we are doing the book of Ezra. Ezra is a continuation of Second Chronicles, where we find out that the Israelites are now being able to go back home to rebuild their land. They've been in captivity for 70 years, and they finally get instructions and encouragement that they can go back from King Cyrus. So they go back. Zerubbabel is there to encourage them. They get it started. That's the project. It gets started, but then it gets waylaid because a bunch of people oppose the building of the second temple. And so it gets waylaid for a while. I mean, it's not just like a few years. It gets waylaid. People go on with their lives, and then all of a sudden, Ezra shows up, and he's coming back with a second wave of exiles, and he thinks things are going to be in great order, but they're not. He finds out that the people have stopped, caring about building the temple again. And so he has to take courage and encourage them and really fuss them out and say, hey, we are God's people. This is what we need to be doing. God is our God, and we want to show people around us that we are in charge, of what we have and who we are, and we are honoring the Lord by what we have and what we do. And so we see this happening in the book of Ezra. Ezra has to have character. He has to have strength of character because his homeland is in a mess, and he has to come there and be the righteous person that he is by saying, hey, guess what? We, the Israelites, are going to get it done. So he has to have strength of character. He has to tell the people not to do the things that they're doing. He has to tell them to reinvent or to come back to the celebration of the festivals they used to have. He has to tell them that, guess what? We have to rebuild these walls. This is what God asked for us to do. This is how we're going to honor our God. And most of all, he has to tell the people to stop having interracial marriages, which is a big deal and a sensitivity, but somehow he had the character and people believed him, because it says in Ezra 10 that he actually got the people together, the priests, the families, and every person, including some of the priests who had wives that were not of Jewish nature, that were not following the Jewish law. They had to separate from those wives, even if they had children, which is kind of an ouch, like, ow. But it was done. They got separated, and they put themselves back into the purity and the mindset of what God wanted them to do. And so we see that in the book of Ezra, there's a lot of up and down. There's a lot of you got to be challenging people. You got to be challenging your countrymen. It feels very much the same today, where we have to be challenging our countrymen for their morality, for what they're saying, for what they're doing. And we see that it's only God's goodness that allows that. In every circumstance, in every situation, God always has somebody who will stand up for what he says. God always has somebody who he's allowing to be the remnant, the role model, to say, this is how it is to be done. This is what you need to do. Ezra was such a person. He had to come all the way back from Babylon, and he came back and he did what was right in the sight of the Lord to get his countrymen to begin to again rebuild the temple and to do what was right inside of the Lord according to the laws and the statutes that God had commanded all the way back from the days of Moses and before even that, I'm sure. But certainly in the days of Moses when the law was put together. And so I'm asking you to think about Ezra and his character, Ezra and how he had to stand up against the people. How might you have to stand up to people? How might you show God's goodness? Okay, can you be the one who's exuding the character like Ezra did, to stand up for what is right, even though everyone else around you is doing something different? Can you be the one to say, this is what God's word says, and I'm going to do it, even if my spouse doesn't do it, or my children doesn't do it, or if my boss doesn't do it, if my best friend isn't doing it? How might you be standing up for God's character? How might you be doing what's right? And so I'm asking you to think, just like Ezra was the role model and the character of God in his day, how might we have the character of God in our day? That's something I want you to think about as you think about the book of Ezra and all that he had to do to encourage the people to turn around to do what God said for them to do. I'm going to wrap this section up for now. I'm glad that you've stayed with me for so long, because I have something else exciting to share with you. I am doing the first summit. The Tell of His Goodness ministry is going to host the first summit we're having. It's a virtual summit. It's going to be Saturday, September the 3rd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want you to show up. I want you to sign up. There will be a registration link in the description box. And I want you to sign up specifically for the event. I want you to come with me. Let us tug on God together. Let us ask God to turn his face our way. Make his face to shine upon us. We'll be talking about how Christians ought to be righteous. 2 Chronicles 7:14. We'll be talking about God pushing back violence on our streets. We'll be talking about the unconverted becoming converted. So please join us as we do this virtual prayer summit, which will be Saturday, September the 3rd, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Look for the registration in the description box. It is a free event, but if you register, that kind of helps me know who's going to show up, who I can encourage, who I can send out emails to. I'd certainly appreciate it. I will talk to you soon. This is Debra E. Johnson wrapping up for today, saying, remember, tell of his goodness any way you can.